At the dawn of the Kingdom of Portugal, the initial kingships, while not flawless, proved successful enough to secure substantial support from the aristocracy for the monarch. Consequently, the reigns of King Afonso I, Sancho I, and Afonso II were characterized by the backing of a significant number of nobles. However, during the rule of the latter, Afonso II, signs of opposition began to emerge, particularly regarding the monarch's policies of appropriating lands from numerous lords. It was with Afonso II's successor, though, that more grave challenges arose. King Sancho II proved to be a deficient politician, plunging the country into chaos. In his absence during military campaigns, he left incapable chancellors in charge, resulting in a notable surge in thefts and murders within the kingdom. The Archbishop of Braga and the bishops of Porto and Coimbra conveyed these issues to Pope Innocent IV during the 1245 Council of Lyon. Consequently, Pope Innocent IV declared Sancho II a rex inutilis, leading to his deposition. The resolution to mend the kingdom required the appointment of a curator. This role would be attributed to Sancho's younger brother, Afonso, who happened to be in close proximity to the council. Afonso III was born on the 5th of May 1211. At the age of 18, he departed from Portugal to accompany his sister, Leonor, to Denmark, who was going to marry Valdemar the Young. However, upon her death in 1231, Afonso journeyed to France. He was summoned by his aunt Blanche of Castile, the widow of Louis VIII and regent to her son Louis IX. In the esteemed European court, Afonso was regarded as a member of the royal family and completed his education there. On the 13th of May 1239, Afonso was knighted and a few days later married the Countess of Boulogne, thus becoming the Count of Boulogne. In the 1240s, he took part in the victorious siege of Sens, and over the years he joined pilgrimages with the Queen Regent. Despite the advantages of his position in France, Afonso consistently expressed his desire to return to Portugal and contribute to the Reconquista against the Moors, a sentiment praised by Pope Innocent IV. Unfortunately, his aspirations were hindered by a deep crisis within the kingdom, putting a halt to crusading. As previously mentioned, concerns about the chaos within the kingdom were raised during the Council of Lyon by some of the most prominent clergymen in Portugal. Consequently, Pope Innocent IV deposed Sancho II and promptly appointed Afonso, the Count of Boulogne, as the curator of Portugal. Soon after, on the 6th of September 1245, a delegation of Portuguese clergymen and noblemen travelled to Paris, where Afonso swore an oath. He pledged to administer justice promptly, put an end to abuses, and swear loyalty to the Catholic Church, always acting in its favour. A year later, Afonso began his journey to Lisbon. Although Afonso enjoyed the support of the entire clergy in the country and many influential nobles, Portugal remained divided. Upon his arrival, the curator endeavored to win over the locals by assuring them that the kingdom would retain stability under his rule. Additionally, he began financially compensating influential nobles who were undecided on whom to support. The first city where Sancho's brother set foot was Lisbon. From there, the curator launched military campaigns to reach and encircle his brother in Coimbra, the capital of the kingdom. Territories in Beira and the Extremadura region were the initial conquests, with Afonso delivering a significant blow to Sancho by capturing Leiria, strategically positioned near Coimbra. Sancho found himself surrounded. In a desperate move, Sancho sought assistance from the Castilian crown, particularly from Alfonso, the Prince of Castile and son of Ferdinand III. In 1247, Alfonso crossed the border and together with Sancho II dealt a defeat to Afonso in Leiria. However, the castle remained under the rule of the Count of Boulogne. Realizing the futility of his efforts, Sancho withdrew from the siege, accompanying Prince Alfonso to Toledo, where he passed away in 1248. As a result, Afonso emerged victorious in the conflict and ascended to the throne as King Afonso III of Portugal. Afonso's ascent to the throne became possible due to his father, Afonso II, explicitly stating in his will that in the event of Sancho's death, his brother would succeed him. Consequently, immediately upon receiving news of his brother's demise, the curator declared himself king without assembling the courts of Portuguese nobles or conducting a formal ceremony. In the early months of 1248, Afonso sought to restore order to the kingdom's administration and demonstrate the crown's strength to the aristocracy. Leveraging the extensive education he received in France, Afonso applied his knowledge in economic, financial, judicial, and social matters, centralizing unprecedented power in the monarchy. However, a significant portion of the aristocracy that had supported Sancho II was not enthusiastic about the new king. Recognizing the need to swiftly garner the support of the nobility, Afonso decided that conquering the major Muslim city of Faro would be the mostly effective way to unite the kingdom. This desire aligned with his earlier intention during his time in France to continue the Reconquista. So, in the early months of 1249, the new Portuguese monarch, accompanied by several thousand men and supported by the orders of Santiago, Avis and the Hospitallers, marched towards Faro. The city of the Taifa of Niebla would successfully be captured in 1 month. Shortly afterward, the orders of Avis and Santiago conquered the last Muslim strongholds in the far southwest of Hispania. Afonso III had not only fulfilled his dream of participating in the Reconquista, but also effectively concluded it in Portugal. Still, the king continued his conquests into Andalusia, claiming Arod and the Cerda in 1251. When Ferdinand III of Castile passed away, and his son, Alfonso X, ascended to the throne in 1252, the new monarch expressed his satisfaction with Portugal holding territories east of the Guadiana River, as it posed a threat to border stability. To address the issue, both monarchs, under the intervention of the Pope, demonstrated their willingness to establish a perpetual truce regarding the division of these borders. As a gesture of commitment to the treaty, it was agreed that Afonso III would marry Alfonso X's daughter, Beatrix. However, this union brought complications, as Afonso was still married to Countess Matilda of Boulogne. The latter promptly raised concerns with Pope Alexander IV, citing consanguinity between Afonso and Beatrix. The Bishop of Rome opposed the marriage, but the king did nothing about it. In response to the Portuguese monarch's disregard for the Pope's efforts, the kingdom was excommunicated by the Bishop of Rome. The most pivotal actions of the former Count of Boulogne in the 1250s were the convening of the Cortes. The first ones of the decade were assembled in Leiria in the year 1254. During these proceedings, several groundbreaking measures were introduced. Notably, the currency underwent a restructuring based on the pound, making a significant shift. Additionally, prosecutors from municipalities participated for the first time, and the king vigorously defended the crown's patrimony against the claims of both noblemen and the clergy. Following the assembly, the king took steps to incorporate lands held by powerful lords and influential clergymen into the crown, particularly in the northern region of the kingdom. This initiative commenced in 1258 with the establishment of new royal commissions throughout the kingdom. To fight the influence of powerful nobles of the north, the king granted substantial privileges to bastard sons or second sons of the nobility, endowing them with recently conquered lands in the central and southern regions to secure their favor and support. As a result of these extensive land grants, the king's wealth increased significantly. The taxes outlined in the new charters favored the king as the primary beneficiary, redirecting financial resources away from other lords. The population did not revolt, as this served as a deterrent against abuses by noblemen who had previously exploited their authority to arbitrarily increase taxes. The king's growing pursuit of wealth became increasingly evident, leading him to consider Lisbon, a prosperous city where maritime commerce thrived as a fitting new capital. In 1256, Afonso III relocated to Lisbon, officially making it the new capital of Portugal. However, his intense focus on accumulating wealth led him to impose exorbitant taxes on the city, triggering opposition against his measures. The king's avarice generated numerous adversaries throughout his rule. It appeared that he had overlooked the significance of the Portuguese clergy, who had played a crucial role in his ascent to the throne. In 1247, the king found himself in conflict with the Bishop of Porto, resulting in a contentious dispute. The monarch went to extreme measures by seizing clergy property in the Douro area and demanding substantial indemnification, citing revolts instigated by the bishop against the king. However, the Cortes of 1258 exacerbated the situation, as the king confiscated numerous lands belonging to the clergy. In 1267, Pope Clement IV took notice of the king's actions, and during the Court of Santarém in 1274, the king pledged to cease abuses perpetrated by his men on lands owned by the clergy. On the 4th of September 1275, the Pope granted the king a 3-month window to fulfill his promises. Regrettably, Afonso's commitments remained unfulfilled, leading to a new interdict on the Kingdom of Portugal in 1277. In his late 60s, Afonso found himself deeply troubled by the excommunication, haunted by the fear of the fires of hell each passing day. In January 1279, he took a decisive step by drafting a New Testament, as his first one had been written in 1271. In this updated testament, he endeavored to reconcile with the Catholic Church, making substantial donations to various churches and military orders, while proclaiming himself a loyal subject. He expressed profound regret for his past decisions, and even went so far as to state that he would curse his son if, upon ascending to the throne, he failed to respect the donations. The king would die on the 16th of February 1279, at the age of 68. Afonso's life epitomizes the vigor that medieval kings were required to demonstrate. Departing Portugal as a teenager, he ventured to Denmark and then to the French Royal Court. In the Kingdom of France, he was knighted and appointed curator of Portugal in Paris. Returning to his homeland, he engaged in a civil war against his brother and emerged victorious. Following this, he journeyed south to conclude the Portuguese Reconquista. He was the first king in the history of Portugal to convene the court on multiple occasions. Furthermore, Afonso elevated Lisbon to the status of the kingdom's capital. This strategic move contributed to the growth of maritime commerce in the city, ultimately positioning it as a crucial maritime hub that played a pivotal role in launching the Age of Discoveries in the 15th century.